Good afternoon and welcome to Australia Today again. Not on a very pleasant afternoon. We are here in Melbourne, attacked by Khalistani goons. We have our editors, Dr. Amit Sawal and Pallavi Jain. With us is also live from Federation Square, a member of Australian Indian community, Sachin Gaur. He is at Federation Square and he has been attacked by these Khalistani goons. Let's go straight away to Sachin and ask him what has happened. Sachin, what can you tell us?
Yeah, what's happening? Like we are doing a peaceful protest out here, and we are just gathering in front of the Federation Square, and instantly 10 to 15 goons came here, and they just starting beating me, punching me from the steel rods, and they just start beating like without checking anything. He just start beating me like anything. He just punching me all over, and he just try to snatch my Indian national flag, which I have not gave to them. They are cowardly people. They just start punching me. As an Australian citizen, I have all the rights to do peaceful protest out here. See what they have done to me. See what they have done to me.
Oh
They
my
punching
God!
all over.
Are you
They
getting any
punching me all
medical
over.
attention?
Yeah, I'm with
Has
the
police
police right
come?
now and going for some going. Yes, काम कर. And they are still now threatening me. Still now in front of police, they're threatening us.
Where is the police officer? Can you show us where is
They
the
still
police
now
officer?
see, they still in front of police, they just threatening us.
Sachin, can you turn
Oh
your camera
God.
towards them? Can you please
Just
turn your
still
camera
threatening
towards
in
them?
front of police.
So, can you turn
Even
your
an
camera
injured
to?
man, even an injured man, they're just trying to threatening us. I'm a Australian citizen. I already all sorry that
कोई बात
face
नहीं,
hurt
आप
because
हमसे हिंदी
yeah.
में बात कीजिए। सचिन, हमसे हिंदी में बात कीजिए। क्या हुआ है? ये क्या बोल रहे हैं आपको?
ये खालिस्तान जिंदाबाद के नारे लगा रहे हैं और उसके बाद ये जो भी लोग यहाँ पर किसी भी इंडियन फ्लैग के साथ दिख रहे हैं उनको ये मार रहे हैं.
और पुलिस क्या कर रही है?
पुलिस इज जस्ट लाइक दे इतनी ज्यादा नंबर्स में है. पुलिस भी थोड़ा बहुत ट्राई कर रही है बचाने का, लेकिन ये पुलिस के सामने खुले मतलब जैसे इंडिया में होता है मारधाड़ मचाते हैं. दे आर जस्ट डूइंग लाइक दैट ओनली. इन ऑस्ट्रेलिया इट इज like they are doing some sort of terrorist attack out here.
आप अपना
Like
हाथ
I'm a peaceful, I'm a legal citizen out here. I all have rights. Hindus also have total rights to do the protest.
आप अपना हाथ दिखा सकते हैं हमको कहाँ चोट मारा है इन्होंने?
Can you turn your camera, Sachin?
सचिन, क्या आप कैमरा दूसरी तरफ कर सकते हैं प्लीज? ओह माय गॉड. और एक लड़के का ये भी बताया गया है सचिन कि एक लड़के के सर पर बहुत चोट आई है, खून निकल
हाँ,
गया
सर
है.
पर एक बंदा अभी इंजर्ड हुआ है, उसके सर पे बहुत चोट आई है, उसके खून निकल रहा है, उसको पैरामेडिक्स हॉस्पिटल लेके जा रहे हैं.
हॉस्पिटल लेके जा रहे हैं. और बाकी
And they just hit me here. See, if you can see here, they just putting me punches on my head and putting an iron rod on my head. They just beat through the iron rod on my head. They use iron rod on my head.
what else can you tell? How many people? How strong was your group? कितने लोग थे आपके ग्रुप में? कितने लोग थे? आप
It
कहाँ
is
से
like
आए?
in my group, it is like 40 to 50, and we are just marching from Flinders Station till that location. Only doing like a peaceful march. That's it. We are not here to hurting anyone.
और आपके मार्च पे जब आप मार्च निकाल रहे थे तो क्या किया उन्होंने?
जैसे ही हम पहुंचे वहां पर, they just start beating us. They start with the pole, and so many guys came from here and there, from all the sides, and they just.
सचिन, आपका वीडियो शायद हमसे चला गया है, बट अमित ये क्या है? वापस आ गए सचिन. अमित ये क्या हो क्या रहा है भाई? पुलिस जैसे कानून लॉ, there is nothing like that, and these Pakistani goons are running amok. They have hurt a man who is bleeding, Sachin is right in front of us. He has been badly wounded. What is going on in the city?
Now, Jita, I don't want to sound like someone who says, I told you so, but I told you so. This is the reality of Khalistan ideology. They are inherently very violent. They're not. It's not a peaceful ideology, and that's what Victorian government Dan Andrews need to understand. He has been, his advisors, XYZ belonging to some community will come and tell him that we are doing peaceful marches, we are doing peaceful referendums, we are doing peaceful. They can hide behind organizations calling themselves aid, human rights, justice, poetry foundation, XYZ, but inherently these are just fronts. They have been learning from Hamas and organizations like these. Islamists have been teaching them through a toolkit. So if you do not understand how South Asian diaspora, particularly South Asian diaspora secessionist movements work, you must understand these are ISI created movements all over the world, particularly in the Indian community, particularly targeting the Sikhs. Their whole policy, thanks to the British, is divide and rule. They have created this bogus movement, and as you can see, that Victorian government and Victorian police is helpless. This will remind people of Vishal Zoot case. Uh, uh, you know, again, someone who has been observing this for almost more than a decade now, I can tell you that these Khalistani goons will turn this and say it is the Hindu fascist Tiranga carrying goons who attacked us. Because these guys have lawyers, they have the right kind of politicians in their pockets. And
Amit,
yeah.
I'll just stop you here. Let me show a video which I have just received from what has happened. You can see what was happening there.
Jitat, you can clearly see that the police told the people carrying Tiranga, please move this side, and they started following the orders. And even then, these people attacked, the Khalistani goons attacked. Now, you can see who's the peaceful group here, right? If your job is to conduct a referendum, then conduct a referendum and go back. These people want street credibility here. They want to show to the Sikhs who are not participating that we will call the shots here, not you. So whoever is in the Gurdwara committees must leave and give space to the violent Khalistani supporters, closet supporters maybe, who are paying them. So at the end of the day, I don't know who these people are. Maybe they are from US, Canada. Maybe they have come from villages, countryside of Australia. But these people know very well that they would be saved. I can't even, if someone bumps into my car, I can't even shout at that person because I know there is law in Australia that if he says that this guy verbally assaulted me, I would be taken to the court. But
Okay,
here,
let me,
violence.
Amit, let me see this video one more time. What is happening there? Yeah. So this is the video of these Khalistani goons attacking these Tiranga playing Indian Australians. And as you have rightly said, that they were obeying police orders to move aside, and these Khalistani goons came running and attacked them. One of them is in hospital right now. I can tell you, one of them is in hospital. His head has been opened up. bleeding badly. Another man hand has been broken by these Khalistani goons, and police has not done anything to protect these people. This is one of the most ridiculous state of affairs in Victoria. I mean, we were assured when last I talked to Victoria police officers, they told that they will not let anything happen. There was, when I was there in the morning at the spot, Federation Square, there were almost 20, 30 odd police vehicles. So that means 60 odd police officers were there in and around Federation Square. And look at what is happening right now. This is just impossible to think in Melbourne City that these Khalistani goons are able to do this. Pallavi, I'd like to bring you in. What do you think? Is it possibly Australia?
Jay, I am reminded of a statement in an Indian movie recently where the statement was made that सरकार किसी की भी हो सिस्टम हमारा है. It seems that the same thing is happening in Australia as well, that they have become so emboldened because probably they have people in the ecosystem who are going to protect them. I think that's the main issue here, that if these videos were not there, the narrative that would be playing out would be that so-called Hindu nationalists, people holding tiranga, are attacking peaceful Khalistani protesters, and there's inter-community tensions because there is a fascist government in India. And I think the time has come when this kind and this absolutely fake and false narrative will find takers, within people in the media or academia, people who are outright anti-India, anti-Hindu, the kind of things that are generalized about the Indian community or the Hindu community. I mean, it's getting to a point where one feels unsafe in Australia, because as Amit was saying, that if something happens, it's like if I'm attacked tomorrow by a man, and if I fight back, depending on the identity of the person who attacked me, they will give a false spin, a fake spin, and it seems that the police and the system, is either clueless or they just don't care. Or maybe there is some, I don't know, I don't want to make any accusations or don't want to presume anything, but I don't know whether it's a bias, whether it's ignorance, or whether it's incompetency. But this is what we are looking at, and this is a very frightening situation. But I think the time has come where I think Indians should know about what's happening in Australia, and then they have to make this call whether they want to send their students to study in a country like this, where these kind of sentiments are being openly propagated. That is, I think it's high time that Indians are made aware of what is happening on Australian soil. And I don't think that this would be possible with if it was any other community. I don't have any qualms in saying that if it was any other country or any other religious community, that this kind of vitriolic hate crimes and these kind of things would be so openly allowed. I mean, imagine, and peaceful protests are a part of a democratic right, and you see what's happening today. And which means that tomorrow the whole this is what terror is. You are terrorizing people into not protesting, so that next time when if someone wants to protest against terrorism against Indians or India, or terrorism against Hindus, people are going to think 15 times whether we should go there, because our head could be broken, or our hands could be broken. And you see, what is absolutely disturbing is that this is not happening in some rural area of Australia. This is not
Okay,
happening
Pallavi, I'll just stop you there. Pallavi, I'll just stop you there. We have someone with us, Deep. He doesn't want his face to be shown, but let's listen to him what he's saying. Deep, what can you tell us?
Yeah, actually the situation was gone out of control. The reason for that was because there were some extremism elements in that side, and we were obviously motivated. Sorry, we were obviously motivated to present our view and thoughts, and in that whole process, the alteration broke out, and these the extremist guys from other side, they start attacking the entry towards the front in our protest. Two of the kids got badly injured. One of the boys got his head smashed with a metal rod. So he's with the cops now. The cops is taking care of him and ensuring that he gets all the medical help. One of the guy got his hand injured. Is one of his finger is broken. There, I'm hearing that there is another guy, two guys who are with police now. They've got paper sprayed in their eyes in the whole process, and from the other side, we don't see anybody being arrested.
So
Whereas,
the boys who were holding Tiranga, police paper sprayed them.
yes, police try to control, and in the process, they try to stop them using the pepper spray, and two guys got pepper spray in their eyes.
This is can something be more ridiculous than this? That people
No,
who are
nothing. While if you are doing all these kind of mass and public protests, my question is how they've been allowed with metal rods and things like metal sharp nails objects with them. Why cops was not looking at what these guys? They were nihangs. Normally, nihangs are religious people. They were carrying sword and knives. Why they've been allowed publicly with all these weapons, especially when you're doing protest, right? You should not allow that. And I wouldn't blame completely to police as well, because sometimes it's very hard to control when your whole arena is open from all the way. Anybody can join. But I would still say that these kind of public gathering in Australia shouldn't be allowed. The issue is not local to Australia. The issue is not local to Australian culture and people. It is Indian issue. It should not be supported here. Even if it is supported, it should be supported in a peaceful manner. Not like this, you are doing a referendum, right? Where thousands of people are coming with their little kids with face covered with Khalistan anti-India hate messages. Little kids like 3 years, 4 years old, right? They could. What if any of the kid could have got like uh, in that all hustle, right? They could have been a fatal injury, right? So yeah, seriously, I wouldn't blame 100% to the authority. I would also blame to the parents who are reckless in bringing kids to these public gatherings. I don't know what kind of teaching they have got in their childhood, bringing little kids with all this kind of hate material.
so let's talk about people who are carrying these Tiranga. So what was the motive for taking the Tiranga to that place? Why you guys did it? Can I ask you?
Yeah,
What was
personally, I can. There were hundreds of people with us, but personally, I can share what I felt. We were doing peaceful protest, saying that we don't believe in dividing India into multiple parts. Right? The idea behind Khalistan is bogus. Right? You have Gurdwara Patna Sahib, you have Gurdwara in Nanded. If you are looking for Khalistan, what will happen to them? Hindus also respectfully believes in 10 gurus of Sikhs. We also believe them, we respect them, right? So why there is across Melbourne Hindu hates? Why temple being vandalized with sprays? Why they have put graffitis saying Hindu phobia, attacking Hindu, attacking Hindustan? If they have issue with Khalistan, if they have issue with 1984 rights, it's against the government, it's against the system, it's not against the community, right? So we were saying that we believe in India, a unity where multiple cultures, multiple community lives. We believe in that, right? We don't believe in today Sikhs are demanding, today someone else is demanding. We don't believe in that. And even if you want some protest, it should be within the realm of Australian law and Australian culture, right? Yeah. So our thought process was that we should want to peacefully show our strength to support India, nothing else.
has
We were
somebody
not there to
gone with?
demean. Yeah.
Deep, can you tell me? Has somebody gone with the person who has been injured?
There are, yes, the person, I think he's in teen. He was being attacked by 5 people brutally. So I was standing on the other side of the station, so to come in between to save him. Even I was scared when they were attacking him with knives, sharp objects. I wouldn't say knife, but they were sharp objects. They were carrying these in disguise so that you can't call them knife, so that people can stop them not to carry. They were attacking him this. So we try to intervene, we try to stop him. So in that all, he got injured. There was another person got injured. Now police, they are there with police at Federation Square. There is no
Did
ambulance there.
police try to save these kids,
No, they
young men?
didn't. They didn't. I have to. We have to jump in between to save that boy. They didn't. They were paper spraying on the people. They could have got all these who were carrying all these sharp objects. They could have got them. I hope. Instead of that, they were looking at me, finding my fault. So
The
that's
police
why.
was
That's
trying to protect these Khalistani, and still they were attacking with knives and rods and rocks, whatever they had in their hands. They were attacking these peaceful people who were holding tirangas. So
yes. They were
this
attacking. I don't know what was the police agenda. Police could have barricaded the place where they were protesting, right? They could have done it properly. We have seen protests happening. Police have done very well in the past. I don't know why it was widely allowed openly at the Federation Square. Why they've been allowed roam around like tourists at there where they were not tourists. They were protesting, right? That was clear cut agenda to create a rucksack at the public place, create disrupt to show that how powerful they are, right here, to show their strength. What does it mean by here showing all this in here? Why they are not doing it back in India?
Okay, let me let Deep. Can you just hold on there? Let me play this video one more time for everyone who has joined us. Just have a look. Um, what has just happened from Flinders Street Station? This is Flinders Street Station, heart of the city in Melbourne, and it's like 200 meters away from where Khalistanis are doing their propaganda. However, these Khalistanis went towards this place, and the police is directing them to go away, the Tiranga people. And now we see Khalistan people coming running. Yes, they are there running from another side and attacking the Tiranga holding young men from Indian Australian young men. One of them has his head open. He's bleeding. He has been taken to hospital. Two of guy now, I'm told that their hand is broken because of the beating by these poles, which we can see in their hands, these Khalistani goons. So it has gone all over the place. And I'm told by one of the witnesses who tried to save the persons who are being beaten by these Khalistani goons that police was doing nothing. Police paper sprayed these Tiranga holding people rather than stopping the Khalistani goons. It can't go more ridiculous than this. I mean, there are serious questions on the conduct of Victoria Police and Victorian government at this moment who have failed to save their own citizens. And right now we are talking about Australian citizens. We are not talking about these Khalistani goons who have come here from UK, USA, Canada, and other places to run amok their hate agendas in Melbourne, and the government of Victoria is sleeping. Victoria Police seems to be not caring any much. We have Malani, who is director of Hindu Human Rights of Australasia. Malani, how do you react to this?
Well, there should have been better organisation by the police because they knew that this was going to happen. So we saw when there was a counter demonstration against Republic Day, they had allocated space. They were able to stand outside the High Commission without any interruption and protest to their heart's content, while Hindus and Indian celebrators were inside the building, unable to come out because of their presence. This time, they have no allocated space. They knew this was coming. There should have been a cordon, some place set aside so that the Indian nationalists could be present and express their dissent against Khalistan. I mean, it's a democratic country. So I can see that they have actually launched an attack and that they weren't contained by the police inside the Federation Square premises, which is what they did to the Indians inside the consulate, they basically had them in there, and Khalistanis out the front. They could have done the same thing. So it doesn't seem very well organised from the outset.
Sarah,
This shouldn't have been able to happen.
Sarah, I thought before today,
Sorry
I thought
to
it's a
interrupt, Jay.
democratic
I have to
country.
drop
Let's
off
listen
now.
to Deep what he's saying. Deep, what
Jay,
were you
sorry, I
saying?
have to drop off. I have to drop off now. Sorry, I have to disconnect. I have to drop off.
Okay, we understand
All right.
that.
Thanks, everyone.
Look
Thanks for
after
giving your
yourself,
time.
Deep. Look after yourself.
Yes, thank you, Jay. Thanks, everyone.
See, before today, I thought everyone has equal rights. Everyone has right to protest, and everyone has right to safety. But today, after seeing these pictures, after seeing what Khalistani goons are allowed to do, they were having open swords in front of Indian consulate 2 days back, and no police officer dared, I will use this word, dared to stop them. And today, these peaceful protesters who want to protest in front of Federation Square holding Tiranga, that is Indian's national flag, they were attacked, beaten, and now hospitalized, and no one cares. Pallavi Jan, I would like to bring you in for this.
Jay, as I mentioned earlier, that this is getting to a point where, as an Indian Australian, I have started to feel scared in Australia. Something that I didn't feel, around 10 years ago when I landed. In fact, one of the beautiful things about Australia I felt was that it was, so beautiful, so multicultural. People were very welcoming. I never felt like an outsider. But this is getting to a stage where it's becoming frightening to live there. And as I have mentioned this before, that you may see false and fake propaganda being peddled, making false equivalents as if this was some intra-community tension. This fact, there's a strong likelihood that this fact will be whitewashed, that it was the Khalistani supporters who became violent, who were attacking people. There are people in the ecosystem, Hindu phobic people, people who are absolutely anti-India, maybe for different reasons, maybe for ideological reasons, maybe they're getting paid, who knows. I mean, we don't want to take names or make presumptions, but I have I have this fear that these kind of false equivalents are going to be made again and again, and create a fake narrative, absolutely fake propaganda. And it is an absolute failure of the Victoria Police. I mean, how on earth could this happen? How can anyone get injured in a public place? It is absolutely insane. I mean, how this cannot happen unless there's backing of the state. Do you think that any person of any community or any ethnicity, do you think they can have the guts in Australia to do this unless they have been given some sort of assurance, or they have there's a perception or some level of support? I mean, imagine someone else doing it. I think
Okay.
the police would have reacted probably in a very different way.
Okay, Sarah, do you agree with what Pallavi is saying, or do you have a different understanding of Australian authorities doing things differently for two different groups of people?
Well, I've spoken to people in different parts of the system, different sectors of the system about this issue. And what I've noticed is that your everyday police officers in the police station have very limited understanding of the dynamics. Some of them do, that are familiar with the issues that have been going on. And really, it's the people who are higher up the chain who have good insight into what's going on. So I think there needs to be, as I said before, there needs to be more awareness and understanding, given that we've got an increasing Indian population, about the tensions that are already being, they've been going on for decades or even hundreds of years, centuries, between rival groups for different reasons. And Khalistan is one that people really need to understand, because it's not the same as Sikhism. And we're so used to, Sikh people being wonderful, friendly, welcoming, kind, caring, and giving to the community. But the Khalistan movement is not Sikhism. It's a very distinct sect of people who are involved in this, and they're being goaded by very anti-Hindu and bigoted people. So unless your everyday police officer is aware of what's been going on, which we're aware of, they've got no clue. So I do think there was a public disorder and public safety issue. It does look like the Khalistanis weren't able to be contained in their area, and I'm more concerned about that issue. And if they've only got the standard Victorian police there and they're not totally across the problem, and they haven't created a space and allocated a space, and they haven't got those, referendum participants confined to their space so they can keep the two separate, I think that reveals that there wasn't enough briefing going down the chain. But I don't think it reveals that the Department of Federal Affairs is somehow complicit in the whole thing. I think they just haven't done enough, and they're not listening, and they need to listen. I don't think they're supportive of Khalistan. I think that would be the wrong message to be sending out, but we'll find out very soon when they all come out to comment. So we've seen some pretty disgusting comments in the past from the multicultural affairs minister at the time who had a go at Vishal Jude and made some comments that weren't based on the court evidence. So we hope we won't see any more of that vilification of individuals going on like we did last time, or groups.
Okay. I'm not quite sure, Malini, about the fact that Victoria Police is so incompetent that they don't know how to crowd control. They don't know if two communities from different point of view come face to face, what happens. I think they have experience enough, and they have standing of those kind of issues. We have seen in past, they have tackled it very carefully. And
do you think that they deliberately minimized their crowd control to allow this confrontation to escalate? Is that what you're supposing? Because they did know what was going to happen.
Victoria Police failed. This is not my place, what they did, how they did. What I can see from the results is Victoria Police failed to save its citizens from their constitutional right to protest. That's what they did. And they will be blamed for it. They will be held accountable for this. This is what I understand. It was responsibility. Yes, Pallavi, I'll come to you. It was responsibility of Victoria Police to secure and give a secure and safe passage to these protesters.
I definitely agree with that.
Yes, they are Australian citizens. It's their responsibility. End of the story is they failed to do so. And they not only they failed to do so, they did not do anything, intervene when these Khalistani goons were attacking with their swords, knives, and poles. This is where Victoria Police fails, and we will definitely pursue this story with Victoria Police. And I think with all the resources, I saw there 30-35 police vans standing when I was there in the morning at 11:30 a.m. So it's not that Victoria Police is not resource. It's not that Victoria Police don't have understanding. Pallavi, you wanted to comment? Yes, over to you.
Yes, my basic point here is that it is unfathomable that, forget race, religion, ethnicity, it is unfathomable to me to think that, that one group of people would attack another group of people in Australia in front of the police, and the police will not do anything. This is not something that I can believe that the police just didn't know in any situation, whether it's just a mob violence in front of a pub. Can you imagine that the police is just forget for a moment that these are Khalistani terrorist supporters, or they are Indian Australians on the other side, any two group of people? Can you imagine, Jay, that you're standing, that the police is there? I mean, Australian police is not a walkover. They are a strong force, and they and they keep Australia safe. Normally the police, I would say, has a good reputation in Australia. So there. What my feeling is, I am not suggesting that there is a conspiracy or there is some deliberate attempt, but what I feel is that there is some sort of a maybe unintentional or maybe some sort of a direction, to treat one kind of people with soft gloves, while not no hold bars against another group, that there is some sort of a tacit maybe direction or messaging there, because hey, I mean, Indian Australians, what are they going to do? And we can always spin the story with Hindu nationalist fascist government and stuff like that, just very briefly, where it has to be made clear that Khalistanis are not Sikhs. This movement is a ISI supported movement, supported by the Islamic State of Pakistan, and the terror footprints of that country are well known. Osama bin Laden was found there. Australian soldiers have been killed by the Taliban that were being supported by Pakistan. So it is really time that Australian government wake up, and as I've said, and maybe we'll discuss this going forward later, that Indians now have to understand this is happening in Australia, and they have to make a considered decision. When they send their students here, when they're sending their children here, whether they are going to they have to be informed about this. The threats and the toxic environment which is being created against all Indians actually, and particularly against Hindu Australians. So both of those things are there. So yeah, back to you, Jay.
Okay. But Sarah, I don't know. I didn't agree with whatever you were saying about Victoria Police. You can, if you would like, you can elaborate how all these things happen, and probably police authorities need to work.
I don't think police themselves don't know what's going on. I think the police officers they're not necessarily across it. And when you speak to them, you have to explain it to them in detail so that they understand. Yeah. So I've had that experience a few times, and the person that you phone at the front desk doesn't necessarily know what's going on. So I think it's important that everybody knows that. But the actual organisation itself, Victoria Police, are accountable for this. So not necessarily the police officers who might not realise the potential for this to have led to very grievous, bodily harm. Were they appreciative of that fact that there were weapons on site? Did they prepare for the safety of the protesters? Did they, allocate space? Did the protesters have a liaison with police? Were they discussing this with police? I mean, there's protocols as well on the protesters' side. So if you turn up and you don't speak to the police and you don't have any safety planning done and you don't know the law, you don't know what you can and can't do, like many people coming as students, they're not equipped to be doing, civil disobedience and, democratic process if they don't know what they can and can't do. And it's kind of like there's quite a few fine lines in there about what they can and can't do. And I didn't see, both sides, how much each provoked the other. But I did see people rushing out of the Federation Square area and attacking people who were in a separate part of the space. So that the Khalistanis had gone out and attacked, the Turanga rally. What were they doing outside of their Khalistan activity? They're the kind of questions that I'll be asking. Why weren't there cordons? Why didn't police make sure that Khalistan activity was retained inside that space? So that's what that says to me, is that they have downplayed the risk. I can hear what you guys want to say, is that you think that they did it deliberately. I know, but I mean, how can you say that? You don't know how much planning has gone on.
I would like to say that we are not suggesting that there was some deliberate conspiracy, but at the same time, I don't think that the Victorian police are so illiterate and ignorant that when the Indian government is carrying out a statement, about the risks associated with Khalistan, the Australia Today has done several reportings. They can go back to our reports. We have done a proper analysis. People have been in touch with Victoria Police. There's vandalism going on. So I cannot believe that people in the Victorian force are so illiterate and so ignorant of what's happening on ground.
Can I just
But
can I make
yeah,
one point? Can I just
yeah,
insert one point?
and
And this
just
is
let
a
me
very
finish my
Australian
point.
way of debating.
Yeah.
I just wished I'd seen the federal police like we had seen outside the High Commission, because they really had that situation quite well under control. And what I saw today was not as well in control. And I'm wondering if that's because they've got Victoria Police, the everyday people out on the street instead of the federal police. Jita, if you can explain that to us, yeah?
Yeah,
What
let me just
police
complete my
officers
point,
were there?
Sarah. Yeah, let me just complete my point that we are absolutely not saying that the Victorian police deliberately allowed this, that they deliberately wanted to hurt Indian Australians. That's not what we are suggesting. But what I do feel, and it's a feeling, that this could not have happened unless there was some direction at the top about what to do and what not to do, and to how to treat one community. I cannot imagine. It is absolutely impossible that if there was a Palestinian protest and a Jewish protest on the other side, and if one group of people started attacking the other group, that the Victorian police would just stand there
They
and
do.
say,
I mean, if you've not been to protests, you haven't seen it. But I've been to plenty, and it happens. I'm not
that
saying it's right, and I'm not saying that they couldn't have done more. But there is violence that happens at demonstrations in Australia. It's not a perfect country. It happens.
I understand that. I completely understand that. But where the risk perception is very high, I have not read of a protest where a Palestinian protester's head was broken by somebody from the opposing side. And I haven't read. I could be wrong. Maybe these things happen. Maybe
It
I have a wrong
happens.
perception.
You should look it up. It does happen. I've seen plenty of violence happening in protests
Okay.
and counter protests.
Okay.
It's rife.
Plenty of
It's rife
violence
for
happens.
violence. That's how.
Okay.
That's what
Now,
happens.
okay, both of you, let me take some control. What happens from now? There are one person very severely injured. I mean, there could be risk to his life. I think the information, I just talked to somebody, the information is there will be an operation of him. So
That
he will
person.
be,
So
his
whatever.
head will be operated right now. They're reaching to hospital. This is
Yeah.
the situation we are in. What from now? What is the course of action which authorities need to take to control this?
Was that captured? Was that captured on camera?
I suppose it should be. I'm not quite sure.
The
I haven't
police
received.
have cameras, but there were people present. Now, I've also got another issue. I heard this morning that camera people who were there to ensure the safety of the community and that anything that happened between the two groups was documented. People going there specifically to film were told to leave. So that is a bit of a problem, because that was the one thing that Hindus were doing. A few were doing was to go there and to document it with their phones, so that if anything happened like this, where there's a serious injury, it was captured there on camera, and there was no more of this. Oh, no, nobody knows who these offenders are, which is what we saw with Vishal Jude. We've got footage of them being assaulting Jude and his friends. Nobody seems to know the names of these people to be able to press any charges. So that was a real problem that's been there for a long time. So obviously charges need to be laid against anybody who's assaulted anybody, but like if they don't have the names, it's going to be how they're going to identify them. They're going to have to go through every person that signed that ballot at the Khalistani referendum and match their names to their photo ID. They can do it. If they want to, they can do it. So if we don't see that level of concern, and they don't check names against photographs on IDs, then we know that they really don't care. But this is serious. I mean, nobody should be getting assaulted like that at all. You expect a little bit of pushing and shoving perhaps, but not hospitalized and undergoing an operation. That's just absurd. I mean, but this is why the police needed to do more, and they needed to set up the proper infrastructure. But moving forward, there needs to be some safety training for democratic protests. If people don't have training on how to do democratic protest in a way that keeps people safe and have proper roles that are played by each of the people. There needs to be media, there needs to be a police liaison, there needs to be safety protocols put in place. You know, there need to be ways to ensure that group can do what it is allowed to do lawfully without the other group
without getting hurt,
without the other group coming and assaulting them. You know what I mean? Like that shouldn't,
okay.
they shouldn't have even been able to leave Federation Square.
Sarah, let me show this video one more time, and then I'll explain what is happening there. I'll play it from the start. I'll play it from here. So you can see one group of people coming from Federation Station, Flinders Station in Victoria. The people who are Khalistani are like 300 meters away. They are nowhere near. But they ran away, came running to attack these people. I mean, they are two opposite sides of Federation Square. Still, they tried to come there and attack these people.
Right, just you can see the police there.
Still, they are trying to attack them. Look, they are coming, running.
Go back to the police Jitath. Let's have a look at that police shot again. What are the police doing?
Sorry, I'm still not sure about that.
See this. Police, I'll play it
Go
from
back.
where you want. Yeah, I'll play it from where you want.
Go, all right, let's watch that again. Slow it down. All right, there's the police.
In the middle of Federation Square.
The Sikhs of the Khalistanis have got up. They're walking toward the people. The police are there. They're trying to stop them from going into that direction.
Absolutely. Now, they comply and move to the other direction. And
they're moving with the police. They're moving with the instructions.
And these are running. Look, they're running towards them.
So what are they doing running toward them? I mean...
So, and I don't know whether you're aware of how Federation Square is. If I can tell you, I'll pick up this box of, probably I'll pick this box.
I've been there. I have been there.
I'll tell you, the Khalistani protest is happening on this side. And these Tiranga people were on this side. Both have this corner. You have to travel 100 meters there and 200 meters on the other side to reach to Khalistani people where their referendum is happening. However, these Khalistani ran towards these people where they were doing protests and they came and attacked them. So
is that when the assault took place, Jitath? Did the assault take place at that point?
I have contacted them. I haven't received any statement from them as yet. Let's see what Victoria Police has to say about it.
Well, you can see they only had 2 or 3 police people standing there. Is that all you saw?
Yeah, I mean, there are. That's what I'm trying to say. Tell you that this is not even the place where the main confrontation could have happened. This is a public place where anybody, and I have covered like 1,000 protests here at Federation Square, and 2 opposing people on 2 staircases. One is having slogan on one side, another one is having on the another side, and nothing happens. But these Khalistani goons purposely came running and attacked them.
Yeah. So that was an unprovoked attack, definitely.
Yes. And the role of police is that police stopped and pepper sprayed the people carrying the Indian flag. They didn't do anything to these Khalistani goons. They didn't do any. They have not made one people. They didn't arrest or hold one person who was kicking and bashing these people. I mean, some other
didn't
people.
Are you sure about that, though? I mean, I want to see what the police come out with, and I want to see who was arrested.
Let's see. There will be a police.
Because I did see one. There was one arrest. Yeah.
There was no arrest. Okay. Let me correct you on that. That person was also let go by police. There was no arrest as such. He was holded by police, and 3 seconds later, he was let go, and he ran towards those people again.
I've got another question for you, Jitath. Do they have an open carry permit to walk around with full-sized swords in public?
See, the law, as I understand, correct me if I'm wrong, the law is that any religious ornament which is considered to be harmful for anyone, sword or the smaller
Stephen.
one, they should be all the time locked. There is a lock to the chain, locked in any public places. They should be locked. It's very specific. They cannot be opened in public space. On 26th of January, Republic Day time, hundreds of Indian Australians were celebrating Republic Day in front of consulate. And one Khalistani person, he took out his sword and he ran with that, whatever style he was trying to show. He did that. He was playing that open sword there in front of at least 50 police officers standing him. Aren't they supposed to tell him that don't do this? This is that is not.
Okay, so I've just had a quick look at the information on the Victoria Police page. It says that they're entitled to display their weapons in the case that they're conducting some type of religious activity. So
Exactly.
let's
So is
watch.
it a religious
Let's watch and
procession?
see if they give them permission to use it for a political activity, which we know from Vishal Jude's case, the court has already defined it as a political activity and not a religious activity. So let's see if they can separate between the two. Because it was clearly a Khalistan rally outside the High Commission and it wasn't a religious activity. So when we saw the sword on full display, are they entitled to perform religious activities in political rallies?
Okay, I'll correct you there also, Sarah. There was one person who was dressed in religious attire and everything. He was playing the sword. And then there was another person who was not dressed in religious attire and everything. He also picked up the sword after seeing him and played it. There is a video. There is a video evidence. Nothing is being like said.
So are they going to say they're conducting religious activities when they're performing Khalistan rallies now? And it's okay to carry a sword. And that's a very dangerous, slippery slope.
That's
isn't
for
it?
Victoria Police. I'll bring you in. How do you see this? Is there something which is missing? You have been doing reporting in UK, in India, and now in Australia. So is the same thing goes in UK, in India, or there is something new what we are saying right now?
See, Jay, the way I see it is that this is a disturbing trend because Australia has an opportunity to nip this in the bud, but unfortunately, it seems to me that they are not doing that. So we have seen, these kind of things happening in other countries as well. In Canada, I mean, again and again, I say this: are the Australian authorities waiting for a terror attack to happen by Khalistani supporters prompted by the ISI? I mean, what are they waiting for? I mean, this excuse that they didn't know, that they were not aware or that they didn't anticipate. I mean, what do they need to understand the gravity of the? I mean, tomorrow if the ISIS, the terrorist group ISIS, if they are carrying their flags and doing a rally, is the police going to say that? So let me just complete, Sarah. So what are they really waiting for? And I think there is also a bit of that political correctness, cancel culture creeping in, because as I mentioned, that it's about the ecosystem. I mean, in UK we have seen the kind of disastrous things that have happened, like the raping of children, young teenage girls who were raped by Pakistani Muslim men for years on end, and the police is on record to say that they were scared to do anything. So I don't know whether there is there is some level of fear there of being labeled something, or whether there is money involved, or or are there some other issues. If I don't know what is the role of the media here, or the general narrative, the absolutely fake and false narrative that is being propagated. And let me just briefly mention here that this issue of Khalistan terror happened in the 80s, and it was the Congress Prime Minister Mrs. Indira Gandhi who was assassinated by Khalistani terrorists. So the point is that I don't understand what is the Australian authorities waiting for.
Pallavi, can I stop you for a minute? We got Dharmesh, who is an eyewitness there. He's joining us. Dharmesh bhai, what can you tell us? क्या हुआ वहाँ पे? Please बताएं.
Around 4:30, it was that we reached Federation Square. We were about 50 of us, and as we entered the Federation Square, the police guided us on the left-hand side. And as we were making our way in the direction which was shown by the police, one person from the opposite side, he ran with a very big pole with a flag, and he started bashing us. And at the same time, at least 5 to 6 other men from the opposite side, they came start with the sticks and started bashing. Now at this time, the police used pepper spray, and at least 5 of the people who were with us, they are affected by the pepper spray.
Yeah, बताते रहिए.
That's all that happened, and then we left.
Okay. कितने लोगों को चोट आया? How many people have been injured? I'm told a number of people have been injured.
At least 5.
One has been taken to hospital.
At least 5. I don't know if they are taken to the hospital, but the police was interviewing them.
Jita, take the volume off that. Yeah.
Yeah.
What was he saying?
Everyone was dispersed at that point in time, Dharmesh?
Yes. They all dispersed. I was just standing there watching, and I also backed off. They all dispersed in different directions. But the people who were affected by the pepper spray and who were hit by the sticks, they were there. The police took them and to a side, and they were sitting on the ground, affected by the pepper spray in their eyes. So somebody got them a couple of bottles of water, and then they were just trying to clean their eyes, and that's when I left.
So why
Did you see?
police pepper spray them?
Yes, police used pepper spray. Surprisingly, only the people on the people with Indian flags were affected by it, and not the people from the other side.
Did they spray it at the Turanga rally, or did they spray it between the two groups? I mean, can you remember how they used that pepper spray? Whether it was aerosol spray that ended up drifting, or whether they directed it at them, or whether they put it between the two, or whether they aimed it at,
let's not go there right now. The 3 people whose eyes were affected with pepper spray, 5 people were from the rally. So none
they are all from the
there's no
rally.
point that they were directed where it was directed.
Look, I didn't see the police spraying them. I realized that this has happened only when I went back there and to see what is happening. And these boys, they could not open their eyes, and they had this burning sensation in their eyes. That's what I realized, that some kind of spray. But there was some yellow orangish kind of color on their clothes. I don't know if that was pepper spray or not. I was not a part of any group. I just happened to be there, and when this thing happened, I backed off.
It's very sad. It's really sad that you don't feel safe in your own country. Sarah, how would you? Dharmesh bhai, please stay with us. Let me ask a question to Sarah. Sarah, how do you respond to it?
Well, obviously the police have been triggered, and they've decided that it was a moment when there was some type of risk at play. Whether or not they assessed that risk correctly is something that we'll have to address in the future. We can't say from what Dharmesh has told us that they were sprayed. Only they were sprayed. We don't know if the other side was sprayed, but let's see. And I mean, if they've only sprayed people who are marching peacefully for no apparent reason, because you can see that they aren't doing anything wrong and they're complying with the directions. So the only other thing is if there were some people at the back that we couldn't see that were going off in another direction, if they were sprayed, you can see that they've tried to stop a confrontation. But if it was walking
Anyways.
through peacefully. That's all we could see from the footage, isn't it?
Sarah, I was at the back of the group. I was not in front. So I was
So did you
watching
see them all cooperating? They were all cooperating with the police?
Yes. As they tried to enter the Federation Square, the police formed a cordon, and one policeman pointed out to the front person, the person at the front, to go in that particular direction. All of them turned into that direction. All of a sudden, this man from the opposite side comes with a big pole, and he goes bang. At the same time, people from the other side, they came from the other sides as well, from
Yeah.
behind, from so it was kind of an ambush.
Yeah. They were
I
waiting
was
for you. You could see them sitting there waiting for you.
no when this group came, the people with the tricolor, they were chanting slogans, and I saw them getting off the tram in Flinders Street. So they were chanting slogans. So they were well aware. It's not that they did realize that these people are coming. And the attack was all of a sudden, the aggressors were the opposite party, not the people from the tricolor.
Well, that's obvious from the footage. They've assaulted
Yeah.
you.
Okay, thank you so much, Dharmesh bhai. Thank you, Pallavi. Thank you, Malini, joining with us.
Jay, I would just like to make one point before I conclude.
Okay.
Yeah, Jed, what I personally want to make it absolutely clear that this is not about belonging to any religious community or ethnicity. I am a secular person. I believe that religion is something that should be strictly personal. The issue is about what is right and wrong. The issue is about reporting the truth and not fake narrative. I think that what has reached a stage that just on account of being a certain religion or ethnicity, in my case, Hindu, Indian, Australian, I started to fear for my safety, because it just seems it's not just I cannot possibly think of this happening to any other religious or ethnic group. And of course, this is about Indian Australian, so it involves people of all
You're right.
religions. But
You're right to be afraid.
Yeah,
you
so
are.
I cannot imagine this happening to people of any other ethnicity in Australia. And for me, that is the real issue. This is not about whether someone is of X religion or Y religion or X nationality or Y nationality living in Australia. This is about an absolute failure of law and order. This is about the Australian authorities not waking up to a real threat, or maybe ignoring that threat because of certain political reasons, or maybe some fake narratives which makes them fearful of doing the right thing, even if they can see what's happening in front of them. So it's not about siding with one side or the other. It's about doing the right thing, what is required to be done.
It's very clear. The police is very clear about who was the aggressor. They saw them coming, and I did not see any of that group being arrested. Whereas the people from the tricolor, the 5 of them who had pepper spray in their eyes, police were very much interested in getting their numbers and their IDs and everything, rather than trying to confront them or give them water to clean their eyes.
Well, we've got it all on camera, so if they don't take action, then we'll make sure that we get some answers for that, because this is absolutely appalling.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll leave everyone with these pictures to think, ponder upon, and we'll bring more up-to-date stories to you as soon as we can. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining with us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.